The morning Adam Chen woke up to his neural implant's alarm, he knew this day would define his entire future. The interview at Quantum Core Industries wasn't just another job opportunity, it was the opportunity. At 23, with a doctorate in quantum computational theory and a stack of student debt that could fund a small space station, this was his shot at escaping the grinding poverty of Earth's lower districts. He dressed carefully in his only formal suit, its synthetic fibers programmed to regulate temperature and repel stains. The fabric shimmered slightly under the artificial lighting of his cramped apartment in Sector 7G, where the sun never quite penetrated through the layers of atmospheric processors and housing units stacked like children's blocks into the polluted sky. Adam checked his wrist display. 7:42 a.m. The maglev train to the upper districts left at 8:15. He had exactly 33 minutes to reach the station, which normally took 25. Perfect timing, accounting for his habitual overthinking at doorways. The corridor outside his apartment hummed with the usual morning chaos. Recycled air thick with the smell of synthetic protein and ozone from overworked ventilation systems. Adam's neural implant fed him a constant stream of data. Temperature, 23, 4 degrees C. Humidity, 67%. Atmospheric composition, within acceptable parameters barely. And his own vitals, heart rate elevated at 94 BPM due to anxiety. He was halfway to the elevator when he heard it, a sound that didn't belong in the algorithmic predictability of morning routines. A crash, followed by a rasping cough that rattled like broken machinery. Adam's hand hovered over the elevator call button. His implant flashed the time, 7:44 a.m. He had 31 minutes now. The sound came again, from the emergency stairwell entrance. Every rational neuron in Adam's brain screamed at him to ignore it. People collapsed in the lower districts every day. Malnutrition, genetic degradation from generations of radiation exposure, expired pharmaceutical implants. It wasn't his problem. He had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to throw away his one chance at escape. His finger was about to press the button when a third sound emerged, a weak call for help, barely audible over the building's ambient noise. Adam closed his eyes and cursed his upbringing. His mother, before the lung plague took her, had drilled one principle into him above all others. Intelligence without compassion was just sophisticated cruelty. He diverted to the stairwell. The woman lay crumpled on the landing between floors, her body folded at unnatural angles. She was old, genuinely old, not the artificially aged look of lower district residents worn down by life. Her skin had the papery quality of natural aging, a rarity in an era where everyone either died young or paid astronomical sums for cellular regeneration. She wore clothing of a style Adam didn't recognize, made from actual woven fabric instead of programmable synthetics. "Help me," she wheezed, her eyes unfocused. Adam's implant automatically scanned her vitals and displayed the data in his peripheral vision. Critical organ failure, internal bleeding, bone fractures in 3 locations. She was dying. 7:47 a.m., 28 minutes. He could call emergency services and leave. Let the system handle it. He pulled up the emergency contact interface, his fingers hovering over the confirmation. But the system response time for Sector 7G was 47 minutes on average. She'd be dead before they arrived, and they both knew it. The old woman's hand grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "Dragon, protocol," she whispered. "Emergency, code, Omega 77 Delta." Adam's implant suddenly blazed with incoming data, a priority override signal he'd never seen before. His entire display flickered and rebooted, replacing his familiar interface with something else entirely. Military-grade encryption, royal authentication protocols, access to medical databases that shouldn't exist. What the? Adam breathed. The woman's emergency code had identified her as someone of critical importance. The system was offering him a choice: Apply immediate emergency intervention using protocols he shouldn't have access to, or wait for official emergency services. He checked the time again. 7:49 a.m., 26 minutes to his train. If he missed it, the next wouldn't arrive in time for his 10:00 a.m. interview at Quantum Core. Adam made his decision. He activated the emergency medical protocols, and his implant walked him through the procedure step by step. The old woman's clothing contained hidden medical nanites, technology so advanced it made his university's equipment look like stone tools. Under the implant's guidance, Adam administered emergency cellular stabilization, deployed microdrones to repair internal bleeding, and initiated bone-knitting protocols. The minutes ticked away. 7:55, 8:02, 8:11. The woman's vitals stabilized. Her breathing became regular. Color returned to her face. She opened her eyes fully for the first time, and Adam saw intelligence there, sharp, calculating, ancient intelligence. "Thank you," she said, her voice now clear and strong despite her physical frailty. "You missed something important." It wasn't a question. "Yes," Adam admitted, checking his display. 8:17 a.m. The train had left. His interview was now impossible to reach on time. Years of work, all his hopes, evaporated in 17 minutes of bad decisions. "You're a fool," the old woman said, pushing herself into a sitting position with Adam's help. "A brilliant fool, but a fool nonetheless." "Yeah, well, you're welcome," Adam replied, unable to keep the bitterness from his voice. The woman studied him with eyes that seemed to catalog every detail of his existence. Adam Chen, age 23, doctorate in quantum computational theory from Tara University, funded entirely by scholarships and accumulated debt equivalent to 847,000 credits, orphaned at age 17. Currently residing in subsidized housing in Sector 7G, interview scheduled for 10:00 a.m. at Quantum Core Industries for the position of Junior Quantum Algorithm Specialist. Salary potential, 120,000 credits annually. Adam's blood went cold. "How do you know everything about you?" The woman smiled, and it transformed her face. "Because, young man, 15 minutes ago you saved the life of Elsa Morgenthal, Duchess of the Northern Territories and mother to Queen Victoria III of the Unified Earth Government." The stairwell seemed to tilt around Adam. His implant frantically searched public databases and confirmed what she'd said. The woman he'd found dying on a stairwell was royalty, not ceremonial royalty, but actual political power. The Queen's mother, on an unannounced inspection tour of the lower districts, probably trying to see how the other 99% lived. I didn't know," Adam stammered. "Obviously," Elsa said dryly, accepting his hand to stand fully. Despite the ordeal, she moved with practiced grace. "If you had known, you might have helped me for the wrong reasons. But you didn't know, and you helped anyway at enormous personal cost. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." She tapped her own wrist display, and Adam's implant flooded with new information. His eyes widened as he read. "The interview at Quantum Core was a test," Elsa explained. "Every year, we identify the brightest young minds in the lower districts and offer them opportunities. But we've learned that intelligence alone isn't enough. We need people who can make hard choices, who understand that the greatest innovations come from those who see humanity in the equation, not just numbers." She gestured at the new data in his display. "You're looking at an offer for the position of Quantum Computational Advisor to the Royal Science Council. Salary, 380,000 credits annually. Full debt forgiveness. Housing in Sector 1A, and most importantly, the chance to work on projects that will actually matter, solving the energy crisis, developing faster-than-light communication, extending human life not just for the wealthy, but for everyone." Adam's legs felt weak. This is real." "Very real," Elsa confirmed. The Quantum Core interview was never going to lead where you thought. They're a good company, but they would have wasted your potential on optimizing profit margins for orbital mining operations. We need you for something more important. But why the test? Why make me choose? Elsa's expression grew serious. Because the problems facing humanity aren't solved by people who only make the easy choices, Adam. Climate collapse, resource scarcity, social stratification. These require leaders who understand sacrifice, who know the value of helping someone even when it costs them everything. She paused, her gaze intense. You could have walked away. You could have let an old woman die rather than miss your precious interview. But you didn't. You saw someone who needed help and you helped. That's the kind of person we need in positions of power. Not someone who optimizes only for personal gain, but someone who includes humanity in the calculation. Adam's mind raced, trying to process everything. What if I had left you? What would have happened? I would have survived, Elsa admitted. I have backup systems the backup systems don't know about. But you would have made it to your interview at Quantum Core, gotten the job, and spent the rest of your life wondering if you made the right choice. Now you'll never have to wonder. She touched his shoulder gently. The universe runs on mathematics, Adam, but mathematics without ethics is just computation. You understand that intuitively. That's why you're valuable. Adam looked down at the stairwell where minutes ago he thought his future had died. Instead, it had been born. When do I start? He asked. Elsa smiled, the expression of a woman who'd gambled on human nature and won. Right now, we have a planet to save, and we're going to need all the brilliant fools we can find. As they left the stairwell together, Adam's implant pinged with a final notification. His student debt balance had been zeroed. In its place was a single message from the Royal Treasury: payment for services rendered to the Crown. Good choice, Mr. Chen. Adam Chen smiled. Sometimes the algorithm of life produced unexpected results. Sometimes missing your big interview led to something infinitely better. And sometimes the old woman you save in a stairwell turns out to be exactly who you needed to meet. In the end, it wasn't about the math. It was about the choice. And Adam Chen, poor young nerd from Sector 7G, had chosen correctly.